Hello and welcome to Give and Toke, the show that elevates the conversation about cannabis to a higher level. I'm your host, Paul O'Donoghue. Usually before we begin, I would express that opinions shared on this show don't necessarily reflect that of my employer. However, my employer is right here, so he can pull me up on the spot. Today, we are joined by a returning guest. You can listen back to my wonderful previous episode with Mike in October 2024 if you want to learn more about his background. But today, we are going to chat what has happened in 2025, what's coming up in 2026. He's a man with a track record for global market predictions. Welcome back, Michael Sassano.
Paul, I love that introduction. And let's have some opinions today.
No, I love having you back here, and I do love having you, under the pretense of we're not really having a SOMAÍ chat today. We're actually going to focus on, what's been going on around the world, and what an incredibly timely thing to happen on the day of our episode scheduled. We have seen that President Donald J. Trump has signed an executive order to reschedule cannabis. Now, there will be plenty of people talking about what this isn't. It's not legalization, it's not decriminalization, but let's focus instead on what it is, Michael. You've been a champion of this cause. This is something you've wanted to see in your home country of the US. What can we anticipate from this rescheduling?
Paul, it's really interesting, and I like the way you phrased that. There's the things that it's not, and there's the things that it is. And the thing that it is, for as an American with American businesses in cannabis, it is a taxable issue, more of an acknowledgement from the federal level that it is a medicine, which is common sense to all of us. Never made sense not to be a medicine. Regardless of anybody's opinion. There already are clinically proven trials on dronabinol, Marinol, Epidiolex, Sativex, just to name a few. But what it means is where I operate now and where we operate now, which is the global markets. And for the U.S., who has notoriously been manipulated by big pharma and big alcohol straight to our faces, this was an acknowledgement that federally cannabis is a medicine, and regulators around the world have to pay attention to the fact that the U.S. government has finally broken away from big pharma, big alcohol norms, and a president was bold enough to go against his own party, but succumb to the will of the people, who 80% agree that medical cannabis should be federally legalized. And he did it. And yeah, we've waited a long time for this. And I've written articles upon articles explaining that this is nothing that much for us as an American business, but for us as a global business, this is the final of four pillars, which aligns to start or to, let's say, intensify a global medical cannabis explosion.
I'm certainly guilty of living in my little Australian bubble here, and I don't want to get too much into cultural stereotypes, but I think maybe that's where some of the criticism comes from, some of the American public, that this isn't enough because it's forgetting that global footprint. I appreciate that you've got that lens of looking outward, but I think maybe that's what we should be celebrating is, yeah, sure, it might not be the final answer for what America is looking for or the average American consumer, but for those of us in the rest of the world trying to catch up with the way America has led the way in many regards, I'm really excited for what it means.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's focus in what it means for Australian and Australian cannabis. It means the regulators have another country to look at that says this is a medicine and should be treated as such to help people. Maybe it will be a wake-up call to your archaic driving laws. And it says this is a medicine, just like any other medicine. You're still going to take it and drive. And of course, nobody agrees with impairment in driving. But there's a need to have your medicine, and there's a need to quantify that better. I think what this means is that, instead of constantly being on the defensive as an industry, this is a wake-up call that you don't have to keep cow tipping to big pharma and big alcohol, who's worried about their sales declining and their pain relief sales declining, because there's an acknowledgement on a country by country level that this is indeed a medicine.
I'd love to hear straight from the horse's mouth because, you and I you founded a company. I work for it that is called SOMAÍ Pharmaceuticals. And every now and then when criticism of cannabis comes up, we sometimes get conflated with Big Pharma. Now, you and I obviously know the difference between Big Pharma and SOMAÍ Pharmaceuticals. How would you delineate that for the layperson?
Well, I would absolutely say we are our pharma, and that is not a question. And we conform to those rules extensively to the highest degree. We follow the EU pharmacopoeia. On the other hand, we are creating an herbal extract, okay? And there is creativity amongst that in conforming with pharmaceutical rules. And so I don't think it matters whether you're an American making gummies in California, or you're a pharmaceutical company in Portugal making pharmaceuticals for the global markets. It's a similar product, right? But it just conforms to a much higher standard of production and a standard of quality. And so when you see moves like medical cannabis being accepted in America, imagine this: they have no GMP grows or manufacturers. Okay. Where are they going to get their product? Because a medical product must be manufactured pharmaceutically GMP and conform to rules like the herbal pharmacopoeia or FDA guided herbal rules. So imagine now that real hospitals and doctors in America, not just your dispensary where you can walk in with your driver's license, and anyone from that's 21 and over to my parents' age can walk in there and somebody will educate them on a product. No, our products can now go into hospitals in the United States. And they're what you would expect them to be, even in America: oral drops, medical vaporizers with the new Aero Vape we're launching. So, certified medical device vaporizer. It sounds to me like a vaporizer, right? So, just because it's medical, does it change it, or does that make a quality standard? And you don't have to worry about your battery blowing up, maybe, you
Yeah,
know?
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's a it's a question mark. It's some quality standard we don't understand, but we do understand that we can buy it in a medically approved market. And now an American a hospital has to buy a medically approved device. So in some way, Europe and Australia and all these countries paved the way for what America is backing into.
Now, Mike, as we go through this conversation, I'm kind of going to throw topics at you and general questions and just go where you want with it. So I want to talk about biggest industry surprises for the last year. What did you not see coming in 2025, good or bad?
Oh, wow. I mean, from a regulatory standpoint, I saw the probably more curveballs than I've ever seen in one singular year. From England, going through labeling rechanges, trying to make rules because they didn't like a wrapper brand there, a medical wrapper brand. And so they decided to attack all labels, and everybody got thrown into it's the baby with the dishwasher.
The bathwater,
The
yep.
It's like, wow. And I mean, I think we're still scraping off labels and putting new labels on 54 different SKUs, a month or so later after it took months of approval. I didn't see Germany suddenly hitting their max. I've seen that before, but it usually bounced back in a week, and it took 2 months to bounce out of that cycle. I didn't see in Portugal they had, the product from newer countries like Thailand were making it to the legal channels, and somehow getting it to the social clubs in Spain, which are allowed to sell legal product but can't buy
Yeah.
legal product. And you're thinking, well, clearly, you guys incentivized, this kind of movement, but that caused major slowdowns in our industry. But what surprises are joyful? Obviously, today, Trump, I think I've been waiting for this day for 19 years. So I think every year I write about it's going to happen, and I always get blown up. And I remember even doubling down on investment when the Democrats came in the last time, and the stocks plummeted 90%, and I was like, "Woof,
Yeah,
that's
you
a
stuck
hard."
it out.
Yeah, I stuck it out big time. Well, the stock's not reacting well today, at least the U.S. stocks, but whatever. They didn't get all they want as
Yeah.
usual. I definitely am overjoyed by the German market almost doubling, and is still growing in leaps and bounds. Just in the last 2 months, it went from a few months during a shutdown, it increased from 8,000 to 10,000 kilos per month being sold. That's exponential growth running into the end of the year, and with headways about changes, which actually were occurring today. And I missed to read the news because I'm on the podcast now, so I got to see what Germany just did. We're betting it's not going to be all they were saying, and not all that we were worried about, but still, decent rules. If any rule is decent that restricts access, but whatever, that's a nuance. Yeah, so that's the way I looked at the year.
I like it because you actually answered my question already about Germany there, but I do want to ask you about the UK. We learnt this year that the amount of GPs prescribing cannabis in the UK is only 1% of eligible practitioners. Patient numbers are still relatively small. I think it's around 50,000. What's slowing down the UK, or what's keeping progress from advancing, the way it did in Australia, for better or worse?
Oh, wow. I mean, I guess I've written a few times about this, so I'll try to splice a little history with a little present together. The history is, there is no real balancing act that says the public wants or doesn't want to change the rules. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It doesn't help that some industry predictions call it a 2-3 billion market when it clearly is not in the future, and the health authorities look at that and say, "Well, you're doing fine. We're not going
Yes.
to help you out."
Yep.
Um, these things aren't a rapper suddenly appearing out of nowhere with a clinic and branded product that has names that even me, who's like, long time, American cannabis guy, are like, "Wow, that's a head scratcher of a
Yeah,
name."
pretty easy going on that, but drawing the line somewhere.
I think you guys had like one strain even in Australia called Booty Clapper, and I was like, "Whoa." I was like,
It's a constant
I
example
was
that comes up of what not to do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely that's true. But anyways, what they did is something very strange, and they restricted prescriptions to only about 200 doctors that are specially licensed, and it hasn't opened up to the broader medical community to do. And that's made kind of an incestuous pond, let's say. And multiple clinics popping up. Your Australian Montu popped up there, does very well. And you have some really big clinics and a bunch of little clinics, but they're all participating in surprise growth over the last 2 years that none of us expected. And it's because people now are understanding, because of the advertising the clinics do, that there is legal cannabis that you can get a prescription for. Because before they kind of knew about it, maybe they heard about it, but there was no a large outreach and educational program to really say, "Hey, this really is this." And then attention got caught on that, and advertising picked up, and boom, there is tremendous growth there. And they will equal. Well, they'll get close to an Australia in about 2 or 3 years, but Australia will keep growing. True, Australia has a massive patient population compared to other countries. 1 million compared to the UK's 100,000, maybe. I think Germany, don't quote me on this, but I think it was 600. I don't know, something like that. Still nowhere near Australia's size, and I think they're triple the population in Germany.
Yeah, well, on the note of Australia, you're someone who watches our market closely, and I'm wondering, I've got plenty of opinions on this. What did we get right this year, and what continues to hold us back?
I still continue to say, and I was just saying this in a board meeting, Australia is still the number one most, let's say, accessible, patient friendly, choices, the biggest choices of any cannabis market.
I think 1,700 products, yeah.
Some may complain that that's too much, where I'm saying that's access. I mean, we have a dispensary in Las Vegas that has more products than that. So it's like, Go to Germany, try to order a pizza. The pizza list has 50 choices on, you know. So, I mean, who doesn't want choice? I don't see that as a negative. Okay, as a business person, I can say it's competitive. But hey, it's better for the patient and give them more products they want, and people are going to love it. I think Australia keeps getting that right and keeps getting it right, and they keep pushing for better service. And it's like the patient demands it. You know, Other countries, they don't know that they can demand better service.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening.
That's funny because I think it alludes a little bit to like the conversation we had about the US, where I think sometimes the people in it don't realize what they've got, and that's what I'm constantly reminded about. Yes, I came from a rec market in Canada where I could get whatever I wanted for 16 hours a day, but coming home to Australia, having the access pathways we do, having tried the amount of products, it is quite a privilege, and I think sometimes people forget what they do have in the quest for what what could be better. And look, I'm not trying to dig into the pessimism. From someone on the outside looking in and with your expertise, what frustrates you about Australia? Because I do love, you do praise us as a great medical market. So if I can get you to kind of talk shit on us for a second, what do you think we could be doing better?
Well, look, and these are things I've kind of always said. We all have our gray side that needs improvement. We all have a soft side that doesn't work out so well if we keep sticking to it. In Germany, it's a very collaborative environment. We all work together. We all share. We all realize we're in a pond to give access and better service to patients, and that it's really the regulations we're always kind of behind the eight ball with, constantly trying to change on us. And our internal struggle is together, and so we all work together. And I wish Australia there was more of that, and you didn't have to. I got to open my own clinic, and I got to have my own distribution license. Now I got to have my own this, and everybody's making their own little attempted verticals
Yes.
with no money to do it. And if you were all sharing and it was more collaborative, man, you guys would be, cranking profit. Your EBITDAs go up, so you don't have to spend so much to buy infrastructure that already exists, you know?
Yeah, I think you're asking us to be very un-Australian there, and it disappoints me because actually in our last podcast together, you spoke about the fact there's no secret sauce. There's not secrets. Someone asks you how something's done, you go and show them. So yeah, I take that on board, Mike, and I wish that we were. I'm going to say we are capable of it. I wish we'd go for it a bit more.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, we publish everything, open tours, competitors, friends
Yeah.
or foes. You could see videos online. We actually tell people how exactly we make our extract in scientific papers. We publish our deals with our best groups around the world. It's funny because when we do it, suddenly they get 100 phone calls, but we have our space, and Australia moves very fast, like 2.5 years ago, we started making gummies, but EU GMP takes that long to release them with 1 year plus stabilities, getting your regulators to sign off, all the testing that goes into producing, because you got to mix every ingredient individually. And the Australians, in one day, they say, we're going to make gummies, and tomorrow everybody's got gummies. Yeah, boom, we got gummies going. We got mixes rolling. We got sugar free. We got ones we coated in sugar. Whatever 20 mgs, 30 mgs, no problem. And I love that about Australia. It's so friendly, product friendly. And even though it's tough for me to compete with those speeds and stuff, we at least think a little farther, and we have our own product. We have our ranges, 154 extracts alone stabilized. So we did a lot of the thinking before, but boy, do I wish life would be easier. You got to praise your local markets and what you're doing over there. When I look in, I'm jealous, just so you know. I'm saying these guys got their stuff together. And I go to markets where they got like 10 bottles a year they sell because it's some one singular doctor who's only works 1 minute a week or 1 minute a month that can give that prescription, and you got to be in on that porthole.
Well, that's a perfect segue to my next question about, the rise of emerging markets, the rise of new players. There's Spain, France, Poland, Switzerland, Malta, you name it. Who had the biggest glow up, if you will, this year?
Ooh, I mean, you know, France for sure flip-flopped on us and scared us a little bit. Were they going to, but or were they not going to do it? Spain, I mean, you could go to 2,000 different social clubs that are buying off the black market, but legally can sell it. But if you want to buy a medical cannabis, you can't buy it, and now you can. Uh, but these markets, just so you understand, Paul, these Poland also they did a zigzag kind of a German loop de loop where they tried made in-person clinic visits a mandatory thing, and then boom, the market drove back up to its thing after about 9 months. We really are watching loop de loops happening all over the place. Slovenia is definitely going to get online. You can make a distribution license in 3 months, you know, and but all these markets, I want you to pay attention to something. Your market can get products in under special access programs, which are very easy. If you make products in Canada or in South Africa or Colombia or whatever, they don't have to be EU GMP. They can be SAFRA GMP or Canadian GPP. Those products cannot come to Europe, but they could come to Australia, right? And so the other markets, though, require 200-page dossiers, which is a medical authorization document and has to be done under strict EU GMP pharma rules. And there's only like a few people in the world, global community, I think four, five, six of us that have made dossiers. And I think we're the only one with eight of them, seven with eight on the way, and not just oral drops, soft gel caps. And we're working on the medical vaporizer dossier now. And so imagine Costa Rica's like this. We have to present our dossier. New Zealand, by the way, your neighbor, dossier market. And so these are complicated markets to get in. But on the other side, they're complicated for patients to get the products. It's a double-edged sword, right? Like too strict quality and there's restriction to access. And though it might be good if you're one of the businesses that can do it, I'm still always going to be a purist of access, whether it's bad or good for me. If they say home growing, I say, let's do it, access, even if I don't think it's going to ever be bad, but just the perception it could be bad for you. But I'm an absolute access, hawk, whatever's good for access. The social clubs in Germany, whoa. I mean, I walked into a social club and these grows, they have indoor grows that look like EU GMP indoor grows. I mean, they're not, but they look good. They got the right equipment, they got the right stuff in there. And guess what? They cut that down, cure it, and open up a window and sell it to them right out the door.
Farm to table in store.
That's right,
Yeah.
buddy. Farm to table. Now, as much as that's not good for my business, but I do believe we all have a space we occupy. But wow, that is service. I mean, that is fresh product right to your door, you know. And I think that's something that we need to strive more for in pharma is fresher flower, because it just takes so long to do EU GMP and then it's got to come to Australia and somebody's got to radiate it and pack it and, all of that. And it's like, does it need to be that much work to get our a fresher flower?
Some countries have moved closer to adult use, some have moved further away. What do we need to do to preserve medical frameworks as countries explore adult use legalization? Like, you love Australia's medical framework, but you're also about access and, you're not anti-legalization. I don't think I've seen a country yet keep the integrity of their medical as they've gone adult use. What do you think needs to be done to have those two streams coexist peacefully?
I think the concept of adult use or recreational is not, let's say, globally accepted generally. Even the words don't sound right, right? Adult use,
Yeah.
recreation. I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors by asking for recreational drugs. Let me just have recreational guns why I'm at
Yeah, and adult
it.
use kind of sounds like I'm going to a strip club.
Yeah, and so just even the tone didn't set right in the world. Canada tried to jump on that while Americans were going state by state, jumping on recreational. That was highly political. Both red and blue states converted to recreation fast. I watched when we were making our grow in Las Vegas. One day we were making a grow and it was medical. The next day we were recreational and building more grows. you know, but it didn't catch on everywhere. And medical caught on better because regulators, there's a safer mentality of framework, right? Now, in that medical framework, could it be more like a nutraceutical, let's say? I mean, it's still, I'm not saying it should go to nutraceutical qualities or nutraceuticals, but more over the counter, I should say.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah, complementary medicines is something that's been like their framework around that, something that's been thrown around in Australia as an idea.
Yeah. I mean, over the counter, once safety has been proven in a population locally, even though, you know, there's 2 decades of legalization documentation in California, 15 years in Canada, on and on, 2017 Germany. I mean, so it's not like there isn't any data for people to see a safety. I haven't heard of anybody dying from cannabis. It's only a matter of time before safety gets tagged on that, and you could still have the high medical standards. I think that's important for consumer safety. There's too many bad players out there that will start spraying it with something and doing things that you don't want. They were spraying flour in Czechoslovakia when I was Czech Republic, sorry, when I was there, and they sprayed some hemp flower and they said, try this. This is amazing. It's just like THC. And I was just nauseous to, even it's just nasty when people start being creative with the natural cannabis sometimes. And so, I think that framework needs to at least be there, but I think there has to be easier access for everybody, and even I love that farm to fresh stuff. I mean, who doesn't want
Farm to
farm to
table,
window?
yeah. It's the salad door at a winery, like it's those added experiences for the purists. Yeah, some people don't care about a $5 bottle of wine. Some people want a $120 bottle of wine from the vineyard itself, and that's where my love for cannabis comes through. When I get to go to Canada or Thailand and go to those places where it's almost like they're allowed to show that they love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, by the way, you don't have to pay 150 because the social clubs in Germany track the legal market and say, okay, you're getting it for that. I'll give you something better for this.
I love it. Love it. Very,
Yeah.
very efficient of the Germans there. I like it.
Yeah. And they're direct to consumer, whereas we go through a distributor, it goes to a pharmacy, that goes to the retail. I mean, by the time all those hands take their rip, I mean, they keeping retail overly inflated for no reason. So yeah, put a little competition into the market. Let's do a little good for the access program. There will be place for everybody, though. There's place for super pharma, Epidiolex, Activex. There's place for us all in all of this world ecosystem. And I don't think you need to worry about the terms rec and adult use. Think more accessible medical, no need for a doctor's prescription. That's more what I see a future look like for all of us.
Well put. In mentioning the black market, I want to circle back to Portugal a little bit, knowing that you operate your business out of Portugal. Portugal was in the news earlier in the year for a bit of a government crackdown on illegal operations happening behind the scenes in the market. Obviously, SOMAÍ is squeaky clean, but how did that impact operations? Did that put a halt on anything? Did that make business operations difficult as the microscope was on Portugal?
Oh, I felt so bad for a lot of the Portuguese players. Soma is a little bigger in scope, as you might imagine, with multiple countries of revenue streams. And, we also have, Paul, 12 QAs, as you know, two regulatory affairs, sorry, three QPs. You have 8 inventory managers, all to keep that line and keep that paperwork clean for regulators. But a lot of other people have one QP, one QA. They didn't have the right paperwork. They weren't able to generate over time that proper protocols for regulatory aspects, and the ones that got in trouble, clearly they lost their licenses, and so they're in even worse shape. And some of them were just tricked. They didn't know any better, and they're in an industry that's tough. And somebody says, "Hey, this is completely legal," and yeah, of course I got all the
Yeah,
paperwork,
trust me,
and
bro.
yeah, and I feel bad for the Portuguese in that manner, because they got duped. And if it was like a Canadian or American, as you know, we would see right through the angle and be like, "No, we got it, brother." I don't care what the money cost is. And so we, of course, suffered from delays in import and export licenses, but really other people suffered a lot worse, and some people even lost a lot, and maybe even lost their businesses because of that. Quite sad story for them. And now Infomed's trying to make amends and really try to have a structure. They have a digital system now, and they're really trying to turn that image around, because it's not their fault. Black market will be clever than
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
They're cleverer than everyone. That's why they're the black
Yeah,
market.
yeah, that's why they seamlessly exist so well.
Yeah, the best distribution network on the planet, and it's all done on trust. No need for registrations.
No. Well, Mike, my last question about 2025 before we have a look at, what might be coming is, did 2025 show us anything new about what patients actually want versus what companies like to make?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've long said that, as an example, in the extract world, you have to have performance, you have to have something that's tasty, a format that works, and you have to have a good price. And you know what came out of all of that? Gummy bears in Australia, and boom, a star was born. Now I got gummies over in Germany, even. You know, People are taking our oils and trying to mix them in pharmacies and
Yes.
making little shots. And I mean, it's really quite amazing to watch.
I'm really glad you brought that up, actually, because I didn't want to, leak company secrets or anything like that. But it was fascinating when it was shared that, yeah, basically companies in Germany are using SOMAÍ products to make their own products. Now, that's a great sign of the quality that's going into the product, but a bit of a like, hey guys, stop using our stuff. So how does that go down? How do you respond to something like that?
Buddy, we flew them all in
Love it.
and we taught them how to make better products.
If you're going to use our stuff, do it properly.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, we paid and we flew everybody in, and it was great 3 days, great dinners. The marketing team was rocking, and had everybody happy. Sales team was in from Germany, and yeah, we taught them. We had our production teams teaching them. We just sent our head of production over to Germany to actually go fill vaporizers for the new cookies launch. So yeah, we want you to make stuff with our products. If we can help, if you love the product you're making, great. If we can help you, even better. Like the guy who was making little shots, we said, "Hey, we'll give you a big 500 ml of that, and you can easily split them rather than taking a 30 ml, and you'll save some money."
Right on, Mike. And again, you've told us about the importance and you've evangelized the importance of collaboration and working together. And there's the proof in the pudding. So, I love that. And I love to see the smile on your face when you talk about that too.
Yeah, it's cool, buddy. It's been a challenging but fun year, and really, this is a year where extracts and new formats like Australia's proven with the gummies 2-to-1 prescriptions, and better quality vaporizers, medical devices, and things like that. Even more flower selections and newer genetics coming on the market that help people and people like. I mean, talk about continuing, never ending progress. Yeah, regulators are pain in the butt
Yeah.
sometimes, but that's our backside, our Achilles heel, and we still are trying to do the best we can for the patient. So I think everybody in our industry wakes up thinking those things, and as hard as it is sometimes, you say, look. We're gonna sell some cannabis today. How bad is that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like on my worst day, I still get to sell cannabis. And I think that's something to be proud of and excited about.
Yeah, not so bad a deal.
Let's talk 2026. So Which countries are going to shock us in 2026, either by moving fast or completely stalling? Who's going to show us the way next year?
Oh, Paul, I think the game just changed just now, and the fallout is going to be extensive. I think France will accept the applications finally. I think that's going to be a real. I think you will start to see products in Spain, but they're going to be competing with the market. I think you're going to see Slovenia for sure come online. I think countries that were tottering and have been talking about it, like Czech, and which is only a €2 million market now, and because of strict rules, and Ireland, which is about the same size market now, which has strict rules, similar to the UK, just a few prescribers. I think those countries have been talking game changers for a while, and they'll be emboldened by the Trump move. I had kind of written them off last year because of no progress, but I think I'd revive them back on it. I think we may see some surprisers, at least out of Asia. They see the do's and the don'ts of Thailand, and let's face it, that's about as recreational of a market as you get. So
Yeah, on my recent trip, I was so excited to go and get my script, and like they were insistent that I didn't need it. I'm like, you've gone medical in inverted commas. You're telling me I need a script. I at least want to see what it looks like. Nah, it's all good. You don't need one.
no, Paul. I mean, and there's thousands of dispensaries. I
Oh,
think tens of thousands.
it's crazy.
And I mean, I was getting a late night chicken, and he was trying to sell me cannabis.
Yes, yeah. Every driver I ever asked to take me to a dispensary had a stash themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they weren't even legal gummies, but there they are, gummies everywhere.
That's right.
They're not legal vaporizers. Even nicotine vaporizers are legal, yet somehow there they are.
Still there.
So, yeah, it's quite. I mean, it's quite astounding to me. I think the Asians really just don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's a nice little holiday. As someone who is quite uptight myself, I like going over and not giving a shit for a few days myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a surpriser to me. So, I was so surprised I had to go back 8 times.
You must, yeah. You're really, really struggling to go there. Must really hate the place.
I hated having to visit 64 grows.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, okay, sometimes it was a little daunting to drive, but still, you're going to check out grows.
yeah. Special, isn't it, Mike? What will consumers start demanding next year that companies might not be ready for?
Oh, geez. I think, I mean, look, if I was to look at Australia, and you guys pretty much got every form factor known to man. So, I mean, maybe you even have pressed tablets. I mean, I can't think of anything left for you guys to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you can do now is improve quality standards and consistency, right? Um, you know, that's really all. You just reach to other levels, different platforms of that, faster acting, nano emulsions. We just tried the new sets the other night, and that was just fantastic. And so that'll come out in a gel cap with a mint interior to make a nice fresh feeling for the upper GI. And so I think like the innovations now for a market like yours are going to be not big steps, but small incremental moves. For other markets, there's going to be massive steps, Paul. Some are just getting their first 10 for 10 bottle. And to them, that's like, whoa, we can finally get it. So, for them, they have a lot of incrementals, a lot of large steps to go through to get there. I think that those kind of markets, like Germany, is just getting their first gummy, right?
Yeah.
They just got their first vapes a year ago, and it's still very fringe, very smaller pharmacies. Its gummies are not bigger pharmacies; they're just smaller ones, seeing what the regulators do because nobody's sure,
Right. They're testing the
right?
waters. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that. Hey, like in Australia, I'm going to put out a pre-roll and see how that
Yeah.
one goes.
I would actually, side note, love your thought on that because that has evoked all sorts of opinions from every side of the aisle and everything in between. At a raw level, Mike, when you look at a pre-rolled product being, coming through a loophole as pre-dosed, rolled as a joint, I'm going to say I love it because I know patients need it. In terms of access, I'm a big fan. What are your thoughts on that product coming to market?
buddy, it's one of the fastest growing segments still in markets like Canada and the United States. So pre-rolls is a large part of the market. People like single servings.
Yeah.
People don't have time to go through the ritual of grinding and rolling, and they still like to smoke. And if they don't have the time, a lot of them are vaporizers. But if they had a pre-roll, they would go for that because it takes. Some people even have arthritis and can't even roll. So let's face it, it's not for everybody, to roll up and smoke, and so giving people access to different formats they like opens up different demographics, and that's good for our industry. Um, as to if it's a medical product, well, I mean, whoever heard of rolling up a joint and putting tobacco in it and smoking that as a medicine? And you tell me what medical book that came from.
Yeah, and that's a very Australian thing to do as well, the old spliff. Like I'm the weirdo amongst a lot of my friends for having green only.
Well, look, you got to have some flexibility in cannabis. Even though it's not necessarily a medical product, but if you're going to go so far on the edge, I mean, you guys allow synthetic minor cannabinoids there. So if you're going to be way out on the fringe, why don't you just go all the way?
Just go for it. I love it.
Go for it. I mean, I think everybody's in shock and awe.
Yeah.
Like, wow, the Australians are avant-garde.
Absolutely love it. Our Australian listeners can look forward to potentially catching up with you at UIC next year, where you'll be over here doing your thing and also talking about SOMAÍ's published article about full extract cannabis oil. We are looking forward to having you back out here. I'm so grateful for your time and your insights today. Thank you for joining me again on Give and Toke.
Thanks, Paul. I'll see you soon, buddy.